I'm Jess.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Natalie. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. On today's episode, it's time to discuss all the stories and adventure of Marathon Weekend 2026 in a magical two-part episode. I am joined by special guests Jess, Lindsay, and Sarah for a special Dopey Challenge Roundtable. Spoiler, we all finished Dopey this year. In this episode, we chat about everything from the expo up through the half marathon. Join us for our stories from a fun-filled weekend, culminating next week in Marathon Redemption. So, lace up your shoes and step into the magic with us. Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another week of the Stride Sisters podcast. If you cannot tell by my voice, I am a smidge under the weather at the moment. Luckily, I have some guests for the greater part of the episode, so you don't have to listen to this for the entire time. Yay! Marathon weekend was wonderful, spectacular, great. We're going to talk about it the next 2 weeks. In terms of training, before all of this, I gesture to my face and my sinuses that feel like they are full water balloons, like ready to be exploded. I did get one workout in. I wanted really badly to work out on the Thursday after I got home from marathon weekend. So I did a lift and then I did a little 1.25 miles. And that felt really good. And then everything else went downhill from there. And I started feeling terrible by that evening. So I didn't go sick because I was shocked how I woke up rip roaring, ready to go work out. And then 12 hours later, I did not feel good. So definitely mega recovery mode for me. I don't sit still very well, I should say. So I'm just taking the recovery as I get it. And honestly, to be honest, this sounds a lot better than I sounded over the weekend, if you can believe that. But as we just had marathon weekend, we have a lot of blisters for the blister brigade. We have six, I count them, including me. So I felt like it was appropriate to name them the dwarves, but not Dopey, because I felt like, how could I pick just one to be Dopey? That's not nice. But I'm going to get into some descriptions. So Megan R has 2 tiny ones and a monster one on the left heel. And because you started the thread in the Facebook group, you're going to be Doc, because Doc is the leader. Tori also joined the Blister Brigade. I'm going to call hers Bashful. Dale has a good-sized one on the first toe, and he noted that this was his 3rd Dopey, 4th marathon, and this is the first time he really has had a blister like this. So I, too, would be grumpy if this was the first time I had one, so I'm going to give you grumpy. Caitlin is a repeat offender in the Blister Brigade, and I think I'm going to have to give you happy. I don't know why, it just kind of makes sense. Even though you're probably not happy to be back in the Blister Brigade, I think happy makes sense. Megan S has the large one on the toes next to the pinky toe on both feet, and the pinky toe on one foot. And I'm going to do sleepy for this one because, again, it kind of just makes sense in my head. But because, you do Dopey and you are sleepy and you sleep a lot. Actually, you don't sleep nearly enough, but or take nearly good enough care of your feet for what you're doing. But I don't know. Sleepy just kind of makes sense in my head. My own blister. Okay. It's the toe next to the big toe on my right foot. So my index toe. And I have a couple little ones, but this is my problem child because it was preventable. Okay. It was caused because I did a good job taping my big toe on both feet, but I left a little excess on this one and that rubbed against the index toe and gave me a blister. So that was preventable, or I could have KT taped that, but I will in the future, or make sure that, it's all down. And it like popped itself already, like before I think I could even really intervene at all. Rest of my feet, pretty good. My pinky toe is a little like sore, but other than that, I don't know. Not too bad, all things considered. So this is our Marathon Weekend Blister Brigade. And if I did not catch yours for this grouping, please let me know. I am happy to make up some more dwarves or a big group or something for the Blister Brigade for next week. Speaking of next week, we have our countdowns. So we have 9 days until Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend 2026. It is peak week for all distances. So good luck on that longest run. I hope you go into this feeling really, really confident. And even if you come out of it not as confident as you'd like to be, I'm hoping that you know what you have to tweak. Like if you have to, more body glide, if your outfit doesn't work, it chafes you weirdly. I hope that these are things that you can figure out on that long run this weekend. But good luck. And then it's smooth sailing until race weekend, which I can't believe is so close. Gosh, crazy. Speaking of being close, we have 37 days until Princess Half Marathon Weekend 2026, as well as 86 days until Springtime Surprise Weekend 2026. We have 275 days until Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2026. Your Club Run Disney registration is February 3rd, 2026. General registration is February 10th of 2026. And once I know the POT deadline, as well as the shirt deadline, I will update those. We did get a little bit of Speculation Nation on what the themes may look like. And I don't know. It seemed there was a little bit of an art preview at Marathon Weekend for Wine and Dine. There's a lot of people who are leaning towards Ahsoka. Next year, but in 2027, is an anniversary for Star Wars. So it will be the 50-year anniversary. So that could be the case. There's some people speculating like Hunchback of Notre Dame. I've already warned Mr. Natalie, you're getting your running shoes on. So he better hope it's a 5K. But I kind of like participating in the speculation. This is the new season reset. So in terms of like kind of what our timelines look like, this is it. So if it'll be usually 1 week out, 2 weeks out, or how many weeks out for when we get medal reveals. And we have 351 days until Marathon Weekend 2027. Your Club Run Disney registration is March 10th of 2026. And general registration is March 17th, 2026. So luck of the Irish, hopefully, for all of everybody trying to register for Marathon Weekend for next year. We also got a little bit of a sneak preview at what this theme is going to be, too. And this looks like it's the classics. So I know everybody's mind so we saw this at the expo for Marathon Weekend. And everybody's mind kind of goes towards Oswald maybe coming back. I don't know if it'll be the 5K or the 10K. I've never done a Marathon Weekend where Oswald's been one of the medals, so that'll be kind of cool if that's the case. But generally, we don't really see too much of a shakeup in our Marathon Weekend themes in terms of like Mickey, Minnie, or the full, Donald and Daisy, or the half, etc. But a good classics theme, oh boy, that could really get me. At this point in time of recording, we don't have our springtime medals. I anticipate them coming sometime this weekish, if not next week. But we do have other news. Some of this is a little stale just based on when I got the news and, travel with Marathon Weekend. So Cool Kids Summer is returning to Walt Disney World in summer 2026. It's going to run from May 26th through September 8th. And there's a lot of different things that will encompass this. So listen up. Woody, Jessie, and friends will be at the Diamond Horseshoe for Jessie's Roundup. That's in the Magic Kingdom. All 4 parks will have characters available during Disney Resort guest early entry. Both water parks will be open. And free water park entry on check-in day will return for this point in time. One of the really interesting things is that you're going to receive 2 free room nights and theme park days when you buy select 4-night, 4-day Walt Disney Travel Company room and ticket packages. So That's definitely pretty huge. If you have kids between 3 and 9, you have free dining plans when a package is purchased for a room. And you'll have characters out at Pop Century, Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach, and Port Orleans Riverside during scheduled appearances. So a little love for the moderates and 2 of the values. I think this is all really exciting. It's cool that they do some stuff for the summer. I know we have a little bit of a hint at like what our next magnet is, but I don't think I actually have seen a reveal for that quite yet, which usually they don't tell you about the magnets for the summer until a little bit closer to. Other Run Disney news. Run Disney is going to increase the amount of available 5K registrations, starting with Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend in 2026. So the plan is to increase that capacity across all of the race weekends, not just for Wine and Dine. And I do think that that's interesting. I have an overall more positive view on it than I feel like a lot of people do. The 5Ks are great. I think that if there's like the infrastructure out to have like an extra like 15 minutes, 20 minutes of course time, meaning like not necessarily your course time, but like people on course. So characters are out for an extra 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and you can get more people to participate. I do think that's great. Yes, 5K courses are crowded. Yes, that is the nature of the beast, especially, marathon weekend with Dopey. But I do think it's positive. I mean, I don't know. I'm very supportive of people kind of getting their start and whatever that start looks like for them. And sometimes the 5K is the gateway of it's untimed. Except for Dopey participants. As long as you're making forward progress, there isn't like the enforced sweep pace. Yes, if you're not making forward progress, that's a different story. But I think that overall, I'm going to choose to look at this in a positive mindset versus a negative one. And just think of what like the good thing, because I feel like we have been upping the number of characters on courses too. I guess I think back to like basically the bare minimum in my mind is 4 character stops, and like that includes like swaps at 1 stop. So I feel like we've been a little higher than that for our Walt Disney World courses, and I don't know. I want to look at this positively and say that it's maybe the start to increasing the capacity for Dopey, for Goofy, for the marathon. But we'll get to a little bit of that later. We have some changes coming to Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland this April. So we are going to shift the timeline just a smidge. Beginning on April 29th of 2026, we are going to have Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia Organa begin roaming the outer rim of Batuu. This is the very first kind of like pivot in the timeline away from the sequel trilogy. And we're going to also hear music from John Williams' Star Wars score throughout the land. So I have some mixed feelings on this because part of me is like, oh, like I liked that Batuu was a pretty original land. I know that's controversial. I know people when they're like, I want to see Star Wars land, they want to go see Darth Vader, right? And like Rey's not going anywhere. Chewbacca's not going anywhere. Like they're going to be in different parts of the area. So part of me like kind of likes the unique nature of it. But I don't know, man, like the idea of like getting to see Luke Skywalker, that is pretty sweet. Hearing John Williams' score, I think that's what I'm going to be the most excited for. Not that I'm 100% sure I'm going to make it out there before my Magic Key expires, but that I'm excited for. Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see. And then there's some like small modifications that they're going to make to kind of make it sort of make some more sense in timeline. But yeah. Time for a fun fact. On this day in 2006, so 20 years ago, High School Musical, a Disney Channel original movie, premieres and is watched by 7.7 million people. I could not be more excited to talk about this. I loved High School Musical. I can't but not believe that it's 20 years old. That makes me feel a little old. But I remember being at like my friend's house in grade school, going to watch High School Musical, and like it being just the overnight phenomenon. And like I thought that it was like already a thing, but like we watched like the premiere. I remember of it, and it's awesome. Obviously some big hits like Zac Efron came out of High School Musical, but yeah, that was definitely like a huge era for me as a kid growing up. But yeah, lots of good memories. Probably still could like recite all of the different songs, like probably a good amount of the script too, if I'm being real with you, of the High School Musical movies. So many good memories. I cannot believe it's 20 years old, honestly. Kind of crazy. Without further ado, we're going to go into part 1 of the Marathon Weekend recap. I am joined by some guests to talk about Marathon Weekend. As promised, I am not going to raspy rasp talk the entire time at you. Thank goodness for your earbuds. I am going to have my guests introduce themselves. They are all returning voices. So, who wants to go first before I eeny, meeny, miny, mo you?
I'll go first.
Yes.
What am I saying? You're oh God, this is
That's
going to be a
okay.
long edit for you, Natalie. I am so sorry.
You're introduce yourself, where you're from,
Okay.
your Instagram handle, what number dopey this is that you completed.
Oh, wait.
Okay, wait, question.
Yes.
Like, successful dopey or like,
However you want to.
Whatever, it's your story. That's the whole theming
it's
of the
like,
weekend.
this is technically dopey number 4, but only half have been successful?
However you want to frame your story.
I'm Jess Luden, and I am from Erie, Pennsylvania. My Instagram handle is Jess Runs Disney, and this was the third time doing Dopey, my 4th participation in Marathon Weekend. The first time that I participated, I did the 5K, and then I saw everyone do medals, and I got held up an hour in traffic going to Ohana for breakfast the day of the marathon, and that made me want to do Dopey next year.
Okay, hi, I'm Lindsay. I am from Sarasota, Florida. My Instagram handle is linsrunsdiz. This was my first successful dopey after not finishing the marathon last year, and my 5th marathon weekend where I did my first full marathon in 2023 and the halves the remainder of the years.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I am from Florida. My Instagram handle is Blondie in the Parks. This is my 4th marathon weekend. One was virtual in 2021. This was my second successful dopey this year after the last two had unfortunate events occur. And this was my 4th marathon weekend.
This was my 3rd dopey and my 4th time participating in Marathon Weekend. I did dopey, goofy, dopey, dopey. Ever since I started going to Marathon Weekend, I started doing a marathon, and it doesn't seem like that's stopping anytime soon. And if you guys recognize these voices, that's because they have all been on the podcast before. So Sarah joined us on episode 53. Jess has this is the 4th time, long time, 4th time caller here. Jess was on episode 30 to talk about Disneyland, episode 41 to talk about our first time doing Dead Last Start, and episode 45 where she was joined by Lindsay to talk about finding your Run Disney girlies with the rest of the overall friend group. So check those episodes out if you're looking for more. We've all done Marathon Weekend quite a few times at this point. Seasoned vets, but also feel like things are always a little bit different. Talk to me about your travel down to Florida or up from Sarasota if you're Lindsay, and how your travel days went. I came down on the 6th, so on Tuesday, the day before the expo, flight at dark 30 in the morning, which always sounds like a good time until you're waking up. I think I was up at like 1:45, to be honest. Always worth it then to get in by noon and then be on your merry way to your resort.
I flew in Monday night. I think I got in at like 10-ish, so I was at my hotel by 11. and it was just very nice to get in and to get settled. All-Star Sports, which honestly, 10 out of 10. I know it's a value resort, but we were the first stop all weekend for the buses. There was no lines. I got kind of nervous waiting for park close at Magic Kingdom and Epcot like throughout the week. No lines at all to go back to the resort.
The line will be like super long, but then so many people can get on those buses that it's never all that bad to actually complete the job or get there. Sarah, what about you?
I flew down from where my husband's stationed right now on the second because I had a friend's wedding to go to before. And let me tell you, he saw that our flight was going to be 1 minute delayed and changed our entire flight into a different airport around where we were going to because it said it was going to be 1 minute delayed.
That is hilarious.
1 minute. We would have made it and it would have been fine, but is what it is. And then we drove down on the Tuesday before marathon weekend and I got in at like midnight to Shades, which is where we stayed because those rooms are huge. We love it there. It's great.
The rooms are so big. All I could think about the last time I was there was staying there for a race weekend and how big the room was and like how it has so much space for my stuff to just spread.
I had an entire bed to do my flat lays on.
Oh,
It was so nice.
now you're speaking my language, man. That is
I do, in fact, love staying there for race weekends. It's 10 out of 10 experience.
that is great. Yeah, the extra bed for the flat lay is like such a great thing to have. Then you have to get creative if you don't have that. But it's nice to have if you do have it. Just, here's crap bed with like here's my flatty out there. Oh, love it. What about you, Lindsay?
Well, I am the group pack mule. So we drove down Tuesday night after work with all of our stuff, all of you guys' stuff, and stayed at All Star Movies, I think, Tuesday night. And then we transferred over to Saratoga for the rest of the time.
Nice. And then I also did not mention that I was at Saratoga for the entire time. Did do a split stay at Saratoga, but we were actually in the same building for both rooms. So that was kind of nice, especially getting into the one bedroom. That was super duper nice. I did go to the park after I was done working. I went to dinner at Narcoossee's and with my mom, who I was staying with, and then we did go to Epcot to see the Glimmering Greenhouse at Living with the Land, and then we left. Jess, you were in the parks that Tuesday, the night before the expo, though, right?
Yeah, so Megan drove in and met up with Kat and I, and we went to Epcot and we saw Donald and Daisy. And then we went to Hollywood Studios to see the Taylor Swift outfits. Um, and then we went back to our room for a little bit, and our door got decorated by Birthdays and More. Such an amazing job. 10 out of 10 recommend for any race weekend. And then at night, we went back to Hollywood Studios to see all the Christmas decorations. And then we went to Epcot to see the glimmering greenhouses because I've never seen that before. And Christmas is my favorite. So seeing all the lights and everything, it was so magical. And then we ended our night with a Mickey Brownie sundae, and I went to bed.
I feel like if Jess doesn't have a Mickey brownie at the beginning of her stay, we need to check on her.
We need to send out like a little SOS if not.
I think I treated myself to like 3, maybe 4 the entire trip.
Oh, see, I only knew about the one.
I also only knew about one.
I think it was only 3, but they are so good. And I don't eat them all. Like, I don't eat the entire thing. It's just a few little bites here and there.
I don't know if I've ever gotten that. Now I kind of feel like I need to.
Princess Weekend. We can have an ice cream brownie sundae date.
Say less. That sounds so good, especially if it's warm because it was toasty this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's roll into Expo Day. I have Club, so I was at Wide World of Sports. Gosh, I think around like 7:30, which like is kind of foul when you think about it. Like there's sometimes like it was great because like I mean that sets the tone and the excitement. It was foggy that morning too, so like getting there was like not eerie but kind of spooky. But like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, wow, I'm waking up early to make sure I get to Wide World of Sports for stuff. At like this hour of the morning, I have Club Run Disney. I am a gold member, so it's like one of those things where it's like, wow, like the things we do for things. But the gold line wasn't too bad. At least when I got there, I saw people I knew. I guess now is probably as good a time as any to talk about how I need to eat my own words from a few weeks ago and how I said I told my proof of time story. And so I get my corral number, I get my bib number, and I'm like, oh no, my POT didn't take. So my strategy going into the expo was because I was working this day too. I had my laptop with me. Basically, I kind of as I had times to stop, I was where I was getting some work done, and I was like, I need to basically like hustle my way through like the club stuff so that I can get to my bib and get into the runner relations line as quickly as possible before this gets wild. And I had the backup that I needed, and all in all, it ended up fine. I didn't actually wait all that long to talk to runner relations, and they did fix it for me. They actually had a reason as to why they had it, the reason listed as to why it said, oh, well, your link didn't verify. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I was like, you have like a list? Like, I'm kind of curious. Like, I want to see. But I showed her the link and I explained the issue. Just to briefly say that, like, I knew that I knew this was a possibility. So I didn't even have to show all the, I mean, I showed like the screen. I had like printed backup though of like my emails, the emails with the race director, the emails with everybody. And yeah, but it ended up fine. But anyway, so my strategy was that like, I need to get through the expo, like the merch part, as quickly as I can so that I am primed and ready to bolt toward bib pickup. But, you know, we had the very first kind of iteration of you need to show your check-in pass to get any Dopey merch. And I will say that because it was a zoo right there, the rest of the expo was great. Like the rest of the merch building was great because it was just a disaster right by the Dopey stuff on day one. So I waited in that line for like 45 minutes, again, during club hours. But once I was out of there, they did very strictly enforce, like, you had to tell them, like, it's kind of like AP merch. So when you like get the annual pass holder stuff, it's like, oh, I'm going to get a medium for that. Okay. Or like a men's medium, women's medium. So you had to get that way. And so it was pretty strictly enforced. I will say that I wasn't originally planning on getting the finisher t-shirt. There was no tank top, which like, am I okay? I'm okay. But I was kind of, after waiting in line that long, I'm like, am I really going to just go through all this just for a metal replica pin? Hell yeah, I am. But I did get the finisher t-shirt too, which I'm glad I did because it's really cute and it like fits well on, but you could try it on there. But yeah, the rest of the expo was basically a breeze. Getting through the rest of the merch. So I think that there's, and you guys can tell me if you feel this way as well, because you were there a little bit later, but overall, there might be some better things, like maybe like 2 little like Dopey stations there for Dopey stuff. Something to like accelerate that line, because 45 minutes was most of my Club Run Disney shopping hour. That ate up a lot, and it was longer by the time I got there because I was pretty far up in that line. I don't know. I do think it's a overall better process to have to verify that you are, because stuff lasted at least till midday before stuff started selling out, which is better than like it's selling out during club hours. I don't know. I think they can still tweak it, but it's a good start to trying to curb the insanity. Thoughts on that?
So I agree. I was super excited to see that it was like Dopey merch, Dopey bibs only. You had to show this. The lines were very long, and it was like hard to see what they even had. I think a great idea would be for them to like have like a preview, like a case or something of previewing what is in line. Two, how do you run out of stuff? Every Run Disney participant puts a shirt size, puts what race they're running. So like they could probably add more stuff to like more quantities of things so everyone can get something. I guess we'll fast forward a little bit to we'll tell the whole story, Lindsay and I, but we went back at like 5 o'clock because we were so over it because it was so busy. And we had a hair braiding appointment. And we actually just walked right up to the table and we got the last medium and large finisher Dopey shirts. And I got a magnet.
That is good. Yeah, I think I love the idea of a display case of like kind of like the like how for if you have the Club Run Disney exclusive merch, how they have like it on a mannequin. I love that idea. And I think that would help because I was also like, is there a tank top? Like, is that just the only sweatshirt? Like, is there a jacket? Like, I remember like I was standing in the line trying to peer and like see what was going on too. And I think that's a great idea. I kind of wonder if there's more people like me who are like, did I just wait all this time for a metal replica pin?
I still
Who
haven't
then
done
ended
my
up
Run Disney survey yet. So maybe I'll add that
good.
to the survey.
Good. I haven't gotten one yet. I don't think I've gotten one. I don't know if I've gotten one for marathon weekend yet. I try to always fill out if like sometimes they time out before I get to them, but I try to always do them because it's a good way to share feedback, especially on what went well, what didn't, etc. But I think it was a good start to. I do think that keeping pre-order open longer and like maybe varying some of what you have in pre-order too. Like if I could just get the metal replica pin, this would save so much of my time.
Also, I don't understand why you can't use your annual pass holder discount when you pre-order stuff.
I think that they tried a couple years ago post COVID, they tried to like do it where we basically returned and rebought it. And like it was some kind of a disaster with that. And they
It was
stopped
a
doing
mess.
it. But yeah, it's like honestly sometimes I don't know, if I could just pre-order my battle replicas, like I'm not saying I would drop my Club Run Disney Gold because I still like the early perk of registering, but I might. Like I might not get there that early for every single expo. But I think it was a good start in my opinion. I think that we can refine it a little bit. But stuff even lasting through the first day was better than years past. But they also had, I feel like, less. So they had some more unique stuff per race weekend, which I kind of liked. Like I really liked the half sweatshirt that had the heart on it. I didn't buy it, but I liked like the whatever the Chip and Dale like kind of like button downy thing was. Like I didn't buy it either, but I liked it. I liked that they had different stuff, but they didn't have. I feel like a lot of our staples weren't there at this expo. Like there wasn't a lounge fly, or there weren't like marathon specific ears besides the one you get for finishing the full. That ear hat, which was actually interesting because I didn't think about how we were missing a lounge fly in ears until that was pointed out, and I'm like, wait a minute, we totally were.
I will say, back from when I was a cast member going into Cast Connections after marathon weekend and things like that, those were some of the most stocked items because if you don't like it, you're not going to buy it. So it has to be like the most perfect thing on the face of the planet in order for people to buy it. Otherwise, it's just like, why am I going to buy a lounge fly or a set of ears that like are meh?
That is true. Oh yeah, I am curious what has ended up at Cast Connections already. Like I know stuff is ending up there, but I'm kind of curious like what they had more quantities of.
My one friend, she said that There was a Goofy Challenger finisher and the Chip and Dale shirt and a shoe and a Goofy coat.
Huh.
And
Oh,
then
not all that
Dopey
much.
pins. And that's it.
I do have to say I did a big fail though. I listen, after waiting in the Dopey line, I went to get my metal replica pins because of course I don't have a complete set, but I still got to make sure I get them all when I can. And I picked up the wrong pin for the 5K. I looked right at the metal replica. I looked right at it, and I went to the pin right below it. And I didn't realize this till I was leaving, like the day I left. And I go, oh man. So I now have even a bigger delta in my complete set. I'm now missing the 5K metal replica because then I did return the pin because I was like, I liked the book. I really liked it, but I was like, I want the metal replica. I would have been way more pissed at myself if it were the like marathon metal replica or the goofy metal replica or the dopey metal replica. Well, that would have been really hard to mess up because the cast member had to hand it to me. I don't know. I obviously I was a little distracted because it was Mission Impossible. Get to the bolt your way into that bib building, get your bib, and then get ready to like pack up and wait in there for days. Which it actually wasn't that bad. But how did y'all's expo morning start?
Lindsay and I and Megan and Kat, we went to Boma for breakfast.
And then sat on the bus for an hour.
Did it take that long to get to the expo?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yes, the traffic was so bad just going from Animal Kingdom to ESPN that we had to resort to use the bathroom on the bus. That is how long it took.
Wait. These places are not that far away from each other. What? What? Oh my god.
The traffic was terrible.
That is so interesting because you guys kind of went right when it opened, right at 10.
Yes.
I want to say we were on the bus like 9:30, 9:45. Like we were on it before 10 o'clock. So we're like, okay, we'll get there at 10. We'll get in line for our bibs, get a virtual queue, good to go. I think we ended up getting to ESPN. Jess, what would you say, like 10:30, if not later?
I'm
She's
pulling up my
getting the
photos
receipts.
right now. We got in, it was like 10:40.
Wow.
10:38 is when I took a photo of the marathon weekend banner.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so it was longer than an hour because our photos by the Christmas tree at Animal Kingdom Lodge was at 9:30.
Holy crap. It really took you like an hour. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I don't think I've ever thought about expo traffic like on the way in before because I'm there early. But because I'm there so much earlier that it's just the sea of Ubers or people parking. That's wild. Dang. And how's Zoo like? Was the expo when you guys got there?
It wasn't, so we got in line for the bibs and it was like at the field house, but we had to like go left in like that first building, like where the baseball stadium is, and
Yeah.
go around and then through to get into the other building.
Yeah, so pretty standard operating procedure
Yeah,
there. Even when I went in, that's about what we had to do. We had to zoom in, go around, go like I didn't have to snake in that basketball court at least upstairs, but um
we did,
that's one of oh, you did.
right?
We didn't.
We didn't,
There was just one line.
but we still went through the
On the
basketball.
basketball court. No, on the field though, we had to go all the way around to get into the shirts.
Oh, oh yeah, no, to go in for the bib.
Yeah, bid pickup was actually quick for how long the line was. I was expecting it to be worse, but it was super quick. And then we just kind of hung out because we had a later merch queue.
Nice. How about you, Sarah?
So we got the later merch virtual queue. And so we are like, I'm not gonna get there like right at open because it's not gonna be like immediate. So we were like,
Do you mean the intent of the
fine.
VQ? The intent is that you don't have to get there and open if you're not going to.
Right? Although I will say we had like the nicest number, and you can cut this out if you want, but we had the nicest number ever.
Nice.
It was 69. It was great.
Oh, I'm not cutting that.
It was so nice. I found it far funnier than I should have, but it's okay. But we got there and we still had to like loop around in the baseball stadium and all of that. But when I got there, I felt like I was in a pack of sardines.
Yeah.
It was so bad. This was my mom's first time going to the expo on day one, and she was looking at me like I was insane. And I was having to tell her, I promise you, it has not been this bad the past 2 years that I've done this. And she's looking at me like, what is
Why
going
did you
on
bring
right
me
now?
here?
But so then everything else, and then we just kind of like hung out for a little bit until our virtual queue, and we pre-ordered like 90% of our merch
Oh, smart.
before we got there because we were like, I don't want to do this. I really don't feel like doing this. I don't want to fight people. I no. So we pre-ordered everything and then picked up like little things here and there that we didn't pre-order because like the half hoodie you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't pre-order, but my mom was doing her first half, so she got herself the hoodie.
Love it.
Um, but like I, s- it took at least 45 minutes driving to just park the car. And then there were like no cast members helping direct people on where to park
Oh,
when we
wow.
got there. It was like a free for all. It was a little scary. A little scary. Just a little bit. But and then leaving was also it took like 30 minutes to
Wow.
leave. So my personal opinion, this was the most peoply I have ever seen day one of the marathon weekend expo. And I was a little scared.
I'm scared. I gotta say that when I got there for my club hour, so again, like 7:30 in the morning, there were people lined up at the at like the gates for bib. I am not kidding. And not just like a couple people. There were a lot of people already lined up. So I gotta say that I try to make quick of the merch situation. So I was I had strategically placed myself at like as close to the front of the gates as I could without like being annoying and like wiggling too much up there. But I'd say that part like wasn't too bad like going in, but like at a certain point I just like looking around at all the people around you, I was like, what's going on? Like, and I know that marathon weekend is like this. Right. I know that this is the nature of the beast of marathon weekend. But still, I remember like looking around like, "Oh my god, there are so many people here." And every year, like I always look around like what is going on? Cuz I mean, it's the nature of the dopey people all have to go on day 1, the 5K people all have to go on day 1 and you know, if somebody's doing dopey in your party and like blah blah blah. I get it. I get why it's like that, but geez, Louise, it marathon weekend expo day 1. So if this was your first Run Disney event, and you're like, oh my god, the expo was wide. Just know that it's not always like that on day 1. Like sometimes, you know, it can get a little cuckoo, but never that bad. Marathon weekend, yes, always that bad day 1. But the rest of it, not quite as bad. Um, but yeah, I remember I ran into Bob in the vendor building after I picked my shirts up, and just very much like it was almost like people started. I don't know. I mean, Bob is a very tall man. It's funny because I recognized his wife Becky first. I was like Becky, and I looked up. I'm like, oh, Bob. It was very funny because like I feel like people just not like started closing in because obviously people want to talk to Bob, and then some are like, oh, I recognize you too, and just like the number of it just got people-ier and people-ier and people-ier and people-ier. Like as I was sitting there talking to Bob, it was just, I was like, I need to get out of this building, actually. Like I need to leave so bad. And it was great. I mean, I loved talking to him. I loved like getting to see people, like seeing people around, but it was one of those like, dang, because I feel like it was extra like crowded because they have the numbers in the vendor building now. And I got lucky that like when I was there, the lines for most of them besides the Dopey were short or non-existent. But even as I was just kind of like sitting around or like standing around, like looking at other stuff, like they kind of started getting bad. But definitely extremely people-y. And a little overstimulating. I just I do not know how Crowned is going to have a booth at the expo for Princess.
That's going to make it so much more worse. Like, it's a good thing, but also, like, that first day is going to be an absolute madhouse.
So maybe everyone will be at the Crown booth than everywhere else.
Don't mind me as I go to the cookies instead, or like the KT tape instead. Maybe, I don't know. I just, especially because they're not going to be able to do like little try-on pop-up things either. And like people are like, yeah, we're going to like camp out for that. I'm like, oh my God, we didn't need to make this worse. I do not know how that's going to work. I'm
Going to
very
be a
interested.
war
I'm very
zone.
happy for them.
Yeah.
It's going to literally be a war zone. Like, Run Disney people are already like, we're all a little cuckoo. We're all a little dopey here. And then you take Crown people, of which we all are. So like, this is not me like this is not me casting stones. This is literally like the call outs coming from inside the house.
Yes.
Oh boy. I mean, I'm fascinated to see how this is going to work, but good golly, Miss Molly. Any good like vendor finds and stuff like that you guys found at this expo versus others?
No. Well, after we got our bibs, we went to the vendor, got our shirts, and then we basically just went outside and we sat in the grass because it was so mentally stimulating because there were so many people everywhere. And I was like, let's just come back later for pictures, like the numbers and everything.
Yeah.
Because we had a later queue and we had like a hair appointment at 3. So we were like, okay, we'll sit, we'll hang out, we'll talk. I went over to the Run Fit Fab, like the pop up or not pop up. Oh
The
my gosh,
picture.
the picture. And then
Same.
Kelsey's Hope, since we ran Dopey with them, fundraised with them, they did a group photo as well right after that. And then we sat around and then our merch got called and I was over it. I got a coffee mug and then we left. Did we do anything else before we left?
No, we really just hung out for the most part. The merch building was extremely overwhelming. I said hi to the My Race Tats owners, grabbed a few things from them, and then we just went and hung out until we were able to get into merch, and then we got our hair. And honestly, when we went back at 5:30, we were in out. My husband got his bib. We got all our number pictures. We went. Did we go back? I think we went. Yeah, we went back into merch where we got our Dopey shirts. We were in and out in an hour and a half with 3 of us.
Wow.
It was so nice. So honestly, like going forward, I think I don't ever want to go back to the expo first thing in the morning. Like going back later in the day was so nice.
When I drop Clurb, if I ever drop Clurb, which is probably a no, just like my annual pass.
You saying you're gonna drop Club Run Disney is like you saying you're never doing Dopey again.
Yeah, it's just a lie. It's just not. The only reason if I like foresaw like a span of decreased participation, like then yes, then that would make sense. Like, but at the same time, like
But at the same time, they announced more 5K registrations starting with Wine and Dine. So I'm curious to see how that's going to be.
I think it's still going to sell out as fast as it does,
I think we might get an extra like 15 minutes out of it.
if that.
Add more characters.
Yeah, I did talk about this in like the intro to the episode about how I think that like if we get like an extra like 15 minutes of course time, like meaning like for overall people to be on course, like I think it can make some sense, right? Like it's not really that much. I mean, like the like post race party closing time for the 5K versus like the 10K is already pretty close in the first place, you know, if you look at what the event guides say. But so I feel like logistically it's not that much more for them to like keep that open.
How much more food and beer and coffee and ciders are they going to sell? It's
Exactly.
duh.
Get your cup early, duh. Duh. That's just how the cookie crumbles. But it is, I mean, I do sometimes end up back at the expo about like 5 p.m. when I realize I lost something. Or not lost something, but I'm like, dang it, I don't have sunglasses, or dang it, I don't have bit boards, or dang it. Actually, I've been good about that. I have an owner's locker, so that's where all my like, oh, I don't have that. It's probably in the owner's locker, and I have a better inventory of it now. But my list of things that's like, ooh, I did forget that. Oops. But yeah. Anything else to note from Expo Day, even if not related to the expo explicitly? I worked, so I don't really have a lot to say.
Pack your patience on the first day because that was very overwhelming. Of the 5 years, that was the worst I've seen it.
I mean, unless you treat it like it's a rager, then I mean, I had a pretty decent.
I forgot we had Rager Sarah with us for a couple day bender, which is the best way to describe the Dopey Challenge, honestly. It's just a couple day long bender.
I don't think I took that weekend seriously a single day except for marathon day.
Ooh, we're gonna have to expand on that just a little bit, just because I think that that probably helped though, right? Like, I
Oh
think
God, 100%. I didn't take anything seriously. Not a single thing.
living for that, honestly. All right, let's roll into 5K day. So, what did we all dress up as?
I was the cloud from I was Eeyore's cloud.
And I was Eeyore.
I was Piglet.
And I wore pajamas as my costume, and it was the best thing ever.
I was roasting in my Piglet onesie.
Yeah. I I feel like whenever you plan for onesies, it's like, okay, that's a guaranteed it's gonna be a steamer now these days. But at the same time, it's also like the 5K in a onesie is like not the worst thing in the world versus like I would probably die if it were the half because I have a hot take on that. I was part of the Rise and Run alien costume. I did not make it in time for the group picture. Actually, I kind of did, and I met Jess and Lindsay in line for Space Donald, and I saw John in that line from Rise and Run. So I was like, oh, I probably am not missing the picture. It's fine. The picture was taken, but that's fine. I knew the risk of that. Not getting into the big alien group costume. But that was a lot of fun. I feel like this 5K, they really knocked it out of the park in terms of like keeping things themed really well and to the sci-fi nature of things. Like, I gotta say, I always understood why people were like, bring Star Wars races back. But let me tell you, do I understand now what a spacey weekend, what I'm missing. Imagining the whole weekend of a Star Wars weekend. Oh, damn. I need it now. I'm really hoping for springtime for next year because it'll be the 50th anniversary of Star Wars A New Hope. So I'm hoping springtime of 27. Fingers crossed. But how did your races go?
It was full vibes.
Definition of a hot girl walk in a fursuit.
I got yelled at to stop doing ballet through the course.
By your husband or?
And me.
And
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
me.
everyone.
Oh,
Everyone, honestly.
okay, fair. Oh, so we didn't break you?
Yes.
Okay, that is fair. I was gonna say, who yelled at you? Casper would do that. I was like, oh, okay, no, we just didn't want to break Sarah.
I mean, seeing Piglet doing ballet through Epcot was actually pretty entertaining.
That's a vibe, honestly.
I was straight vibes. It was a fun time. I got nicknamed Rager Piglet. It was great.
Rager Piglet doing ballet. Honestly, that's an entire vibe. I wish I were there for that part of it. Because one thing I didn't mention about my POT thing is that I was not expecting them to sticker me for the 5K, 10K. I expected them only to put it for the POT'd things of the half full. Because also, what a funny year for me to have a problem with my bib number and my POT when they put you in the same corral for all 4 races. What a funny year for that to happen versus splitting you between the 5 and 10 and the half and full. What a funny year. But I did get stickered into it, which I was grateful for and I was not expecting. Because I had already was like, well, I guess I'm DLSing. If I'm not going to be in see where I'm supposed to be, then I'm going to DLS. And anyway, but what a funny year for that to happen. It is just it. I actually do think it is. I do think it's funny, especially because A, they were able to fix it, and B, like I do think it's funny. I'm like, damn, what a year. We had a lot of really good characters on this course. There were some that were there were some characters that I think had not been seen on a Run Disney course in either ever or at least like a long time. Specifically like Jumba, some of the Stitch aliens had not been out prior. Shout out to whatever homie leaks the character lists every year and then everyone spreads it around. We seize the list, we sense the list, okay? I don't gatekeep. But they kept everything very very thematic. I liked it. I loved the vibe of all the music though. That was my favorite part, was just absolutely vibing to John Williams Star Wars music in the middle of Epcot. Like that 5K could have gone on forever, honestly, if as far as I was concerned.
And like the mile markers were also like themed.
Yes.
And like the
They were
lights on
very
the
cute.
ground. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not even gonna lie, I never saw a single mile marker.
I took pictures of every single mile marker this weekend,
Okay.
besides 1 or 2 during the marathon.
Okay, pop off. But yeah, I loved all the costumes too. Like people again really went for the space theme so well. I think they're really really well. It was fantastic. But it really was a good start to the weekend. Like I feel like marathon weekend kind of, I don't want to say always like surprises us with like theme type stuff like that, but I remember 2 years ago, and not that I participated in this part of Dopey in 24 because I did Goofy that year, but I remember people like coming and like, oh yeah, like all the races are decades themed. So it was like the early themes for the 5K, 10K, like early years. I wasn't there till the half, and then that was the half of the half. But like kind of they really hit it with like the theming. And like yes, that involved like Doc McStuffins out on the marathon course because that was like 2000s and up, but it was okay. I appreciate a commitment to the bit with
I got
that.
my photo with Doc McStuffins
Woo!
this past marathon.
Oh, I love that. I kind of like when they have like the random Disney Junior ones out. Most namely because my boss, like his kids sometimes like I don't know, he'll be like, oh, do you know who like Sophia the First is? I'm like, I do know who Sophia the First is. So then like that those aren't unofficial challenges for me, but I'm like, oh yeah, like I got a picture of Sophia the First. And he's like, yep, my kids used to really like that one. It's like kind of like their age of Disney Junior characters and stuff. So that's actually been very entertaining for me sometimes. But what else? I do not have much to report back except I worked that day. This is the last day I'm going to say that. And then we also transferred rooms. So we are going from a studio to a 1-bedroom. So I supervised our luggage cart that day because I didn't want to like pull it all the way up to Bell Services when I knew that they were going to put us in the same building. So I just worked sitting outside with my big luggage cart and like the loaner's lockers and stuff and my mom's stuff because I was like, okay, you can go just because I have to sit and work. Like I'll just sit here with all the luggage. More than once did a cast member go, oh, like, did you call for like a luggage help? I'm like, no, I'm staying. They're like, okay. I was in the paddock area at Saratoga, by the way. But yeah, I don't really have all that much to report back on my day. So hopefully you guys had more entertaining day than I did.
We had such a fun day. Let me tell you. So we sat and vibed in the parking lot until they were calling like last resort last buses to the resort. Honestly, like I'm gonna do that every race day because there was no lines for the I did it photos, so you could just go right and have your photo. There was no lines for characters. We sat there, we finished our ciders, and then we were like, well, it was my idea. I said, let's go to Epcot and get medal photos in our race outfits. So Kat, Lindsay, and I, we walked right over to Epcot and we took photos. There was no photo pass people yet because it was like early entry for the park. So like we set up our phone and just did a timer in front of the ball. So that was a good time. And then we walked right up. We went to Norway. We got a Viking coffee, which if you haven't had one before, 10 out of 10. It was very good. And then we walked to Frozen and it was a walk on. And then I think that was our day.
It was, and you could honestly tell the people that were like there on a family vacation versus Run Disney because it's the look of why is there a Kanga, an Eeyore, and a girl in a cloud pajama set walking through Epcot?
That is an entire mood and an entire vibe, honestly.
Because I mean, at that point, we were already up for 8 hours of the day because we woke up at 2. It was like 10. We're already living a full life before these people even start their vacation.
That is so true. That is so true. I did indulge in a cider this day because then I also bought one for somebody in like a Run Fit Fab person who was like, "Oh my god, I forgot my ID." I was like, "Oh no, I got you," because I wanted to make sure I got my cup. Because now I like at 5K day, like kind of like have the stress about the cup because I want to make sure I get the cup. Because I want the weekend specific cup. But that is an entire vibe though. I'm trying to think of what park would be the most confusing to like just see people in their like Kanga Eeyore like cloud onesie. Like, you know, I'm trying to think of what would be the most confusing. Probably animal. I don't know. I'll have to.
Epcot,
I think Epcot.
100% Epcot. It would be Epcot. Because, like, unless you are in the England Pavilion,
Which we were
where
not.
else? Where else does it make sense?
Sarah, what did you do today? 5K day.
I went back to my hotel, took a shower, passed out, went into Magic Kingdom with my mom and husband, walked around, did some rides, went back to sleep.
Fair, all things considered. It's funny because again, like Dopey's a business trip is what I always say, and that's not even something it is not an original thought at all. But Dopey is a business trip because like it's like, oh, I have all this time. I'm like, yes, but like most of your time is like focusing on like not overdoing it.
I will say, I will say 5K day is the day that I did the most in the parks, simply because I was like, this is the day that I have like the most time. It's a 10K tomorrow. After the 10K is when I was like, yeah, no, I'm sleeping.
That is totally fair though. If you're gonna make the choice to like do a lot, like 5K day would be the day to do it. If you're not waking up on 10K morning, like kind of just thinking to yourself, why?
That day we also had Kelsey's Hope luncheon since we fundraised with them. They hosted a luncheon at Splitsville, so we went over to Disney Springs and did that.
Oh, nice. How's the food at Splitsville?
10 out of 10.
I've heard it's really good.
Hmm.
They have such a variety, like you really cannot go wrong. Like obviously that one was very pasta heavy, but like their sushi's good, their pizza's good. I've had their chicken fried rice multiple times, one of my favorite items. So yeah, you really can't go wrong.
Yeah, I've heard that like the food low key, high key slaps there, so it's like something to add to your like repertoire. Especially, I'm almost always at Saratoga, so that's a good one. I think this day I had like a pretty big meeting, which was kind of funny. I took it out next to my bell card of luggage. But other than that, I had a couple other like sporadic calls to take that afternoon, but pretty much I didn't leave Saratoga property. I literally went up to the front because then I realized I left my magic band in my room, and then I had to go get my key card. My tap thing, using my phone like to tap into the room never works, so I just had to get a key card made. And then I got dinner from the quick serve, not the Paddock Grill because that's the one near where we were, but
Artist palette.
thank you. It's like
Welcome.
the brain is not braining. But Artist Palette, I pretty much like I wouldn't say I ate like everything on that menu, but like I pretty much over like the course of a few days, like I sampled a lot of the things on there, which I quite like. And then I went to bed. I didn't really have a lot, but that was the last day I worked. I had to work, so that was kind of nice because then I was off and free to go about my day, my life. After that, so rolling into 10K day. This day, I purposefully, I should say, slept in a little bit because I knew I was going to DLS.
You're
So,
welcome.
yes, thank you for volunteering me to dead last start, which I gotta say, I never thought I would do during a marathon weekend, ever.
Agreed. If you would have asked me a year ago if I was going to dead last start during Dopey, I would have laughed in your face.
I've been like, no. I did not make it to doing a half dead last start. I still wasn't feeling that frisky, but one of these days I'll do a half. But it was kind of nice because like, I don't think I even got up till like close to 3 in the morning because I knew like, I was like, I just need to get on like a bus eventually. So, but I knew like, because like I wasn't in a rush to get to the starting area. So this day I was Maleficent. So I'm creating a little bit of a dangerous precedent here where it seems like I dress as a villain and then I DLS. So I need to think of my costume choices going forward. But it was kind of like somewhat, because like when I was still kind of on the fence about it, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to wear my little dead last start bow just in case of like, I could just be a designated target. But it seems like, because I was Sir Hiss when I did it for springtime, and like now I'm Maleficent, so I'm like, okay, I guess if I'm going to be a villain, it's going to be like a premeditated dead last start, or like it kind of just, it feels right. It kind of feels right. But the number of people who said to me that like, because we were, I don't know, we couldn't tell, me, Jess, and Lindsay were standing outside, basically where all the corrals, like you head into the start chute. And we were kind of just waving at people like, hi, 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 as they came by. And like, I recognized a lot of people, but there's a lot of people who saw me, looked at me, didn't recognize me because I had these giant Maleficent horns on my head. And then later we're like, oh, that was you. But I was like, am I the caged animal, or are they? Like, hi, look at you go away. And I'm not going in my corral where I'm supposed to be. Because I'm in Corral V, I'm Corral Villain. But it was so fun. It was definitely like less nerve-wracking, I'd say, than the last time I did last started. Even though I feel like that was springtime, and I feel like I had higher quote unquote stakes this time, because I mean with Dopey, but also I was more comfortable with the idea of it because I had done it before though. And I know more villains. And it was kind of fun to just watch everything just like pass by. Like you get like the best looks at costumes and stuff like that of people going into the shoot, like around, like rounding the bend and to go into the start shoot. It's the best. I kind of love it.
I feel like we saw a lot of good costumes too that came through.
This was the big Run Dopey Airlines costume this day. That big group, because I like had gotten the info about the group costume, and it was around Chicago, so I had no space in my brain for anything but the Chicago Marathon. So that was a no from me, dog. Absolutely. Like I just it kind of just floated out of my mind, and then it was just gone forever. But everybody who like, people who were like plane directors, people who were flight attendants, pilots, they did so well with that big group costume. It was awesome to see people everywhere. Especially there was the villain who was then our own personal like director of like of the villains, like, okay, stop, because the part of the thing is that you want to keep up with the people in front of you, but like we purposely start last wave if you're doing a dead last start. So what were you guys dressed as today, this day?
I was dressed as the poison apple.
And I was the poison from Emperor's New Groove.
I was dressed up as Anna, so I had the little cape and everything.
Love it. Yeah, Jess, Lindsay, and I were part of a group costume that was supposed to be like Disney villains Clue. And somebody did make a Clue card, and I adopted the Clue card because Audra didn't want to hold it anymore. She's like, I've been holding this thing for 2 hours. And then it goes to Jess, and then it goes to Lindsay, and then it goes to me. And I was like, you guys know I'm probably actually going to hold this the whole time, right? And it made it to the finish line. It made it through the finish line, actually.
That's impressive.
Listen, I do things for the bit. And I tried to be very responsible when I was running with it, of like, if I held it out, because like, if I held it right in front of me, it like would block my bib. But so I tried to like, I put it out so it was at my side, and then as soon as I could tell they took a picture of me, I like slid it back in, so I wasn't blocking the people behind me. Obviously, a paused photo stop is one thing, but so it was like kind of slide her out, like put her out, and then back in, to make sure that I wasn't being like a nuisance to people around me. Well, as minimal of a nuisance as I could. But that race started, and like, I feel like I didn't run like super hard that day, but I ran like fairly like hard that day. Not like I wasn't trying to like do anything like super spectacular, because again, it's still Dopey. It's still day 2 of Dopey, but I still was just like, I'm just gonna see what happens. And like, the dead last start mentality helps a lot, because it's like, you see like groups of people in front of you and you're like, I can pick them off. I can pass them. And like, you see the rights to the course. So like, you pass safely, of course, but it's like, you pluck people off like one by one by one by one. It's like, oh no, I can keep running until I get to them, and then I'm gonna like take my walk, pause and take my walk break. But this is the day that I also had somebody who is like, oh, are you a Galloway pacer? Because of like, I'm pretty good about putting my hand up and like doing a countdown. I try to do it verbally, but sometimes I'm out of breath. Okay. And I do at least do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 with my fingers and like get over, because I feel like, again, if you're going to represent also the dead last start villains, like I need to be very, very, very good about my race etiquette, right? Like I'm representing a group that's bigger than myself. So like, you don't want to be that jerk who's like, oh, I got cut off by a Maleficent DLSer. No, no, no. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to represent well. But I like cooked this race, because then I was like, I don't know, I just kind of took off and I went for it. And it was fun. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of people who were like, oh, enjoy my kill, as I passed them, because they were familiar enough with the DLS game. So I'm so excited to see my chart when it comes back. But how did your races go?
It went good. I feel like compared to last DLS versus this one, it was very more chill. Um,
I did not have to pull you back.
I know. I was like so anxious last time, but this time I'm like, okay. And also, I just want to say this is the first year I actually stuck with the training plan. So last year's me, like fast forward to now, I'm so proud of myself, because this weekend was the easiest race weekend I've ever had. So I just trust the training, trust the process.
Pop off. Yes, we love to hear that.
And then Lindsay and I just like vibed the 10K. We ran like a little bit and then we walked.
And I am still convinced I am cursed. I have no boardwalk photos unless Jess has them, but I never get my boardwalk photo pass photos. I've gotten it for the marathon, but other than that, any other race that involves boardwalk, they're non-existent. Even DLSing, starting my corral, whatever the case may be, I never get them.
Interesting. That's cursed.
I was gonna run like a little bit, not like crazy, especially because like there were so many people in front of me, I couldn't move anywhere on the course. But then I had like a 10-minute stop to just try to pee at like that first porta potty, because I had to pee so bad. And it took like 10 minutes, because I don't know what people were doing in there, but they were taking forever. And so I just then vibed and tried to do what I could. But there were so many people around that it was like almost impossible to move. I ended up running on curbs or things like that. And I was cursed like all weekend of no photo pass. Someone jumped in front of me every weekend. The pictures were blurry.
Can I just say this race weekend was the worst with people stopping in front of, like, cutting you off and then stopping in front of PhotoPass? I'm like, keep on going. What are we doing?
I was just gonna say that it was very bad. The 10K especially was bad. Like the cutting off or like the stopping, they put a video out. Don't run in front of people, don't stop. Everyone's gonna get pictures. I mean, it obviously it is what it is. It's you're never gonna have a perfect weekend, but this just seemed to be extra bad.
I'd say it was up there. I still got to say the worst I have ever experienced, and to the point where PhotoPass was yelling at people, was Disneyland Halloween this year, where people were like completely like, almost to a stop, and PhotoPass was like, "You need to keep going." I was like, "Yes, Savage, you go." Like, it also was dangerous because I almost plowed over them. But I'd say this 10K, I also there was a lot because there were a couple people I was leapfrogging to, and I was like, "I need to get away from you." I'm like, "Listen, I I get it. Like we all want our pictures, but do not slow down. Like do not stop, um, and like linger. You know, like I kind of feel like I've done enough races at this point to know like just about at what point like they're not getting me anymore. I'm not in the camera lens anymore. So I try to like I do try to even if I know they got me. Like I try to like once I know they kind of got me, I kind of try to speed away. Like so I'm like okay, I want to get out of dodge, get out of the way. GTFO. I always try to do that cuz I'm like okay, like I don't want to be the menace. A B like at this point you're not getting my bib if it's like shifted to this side and like you're on my right side, it's shifted to my left. I am pretty much past you. Like there's no point for me to just slow down except to be annoying to the people behind me. So I try to have that like self-awareness. And like if you're newer to this, like I understand you don't really know that. You might not think about that, but I feel like I do know better. So I'm like, okay, if they didn't get me, they're not getting me. Bye. Uh Zoom. We had a lot of very good characters for this one too. This comes in with my challenge character from my boss. Actually, not really one of my challenges for this weekend, but it's a rollover challenge from a prior weekend because now he makes them harder for me because he knows. Uh, he knows. Um, but I had a rollover from Disneyland Halloween, which was picture characters from Chippendale Rescue Rangers, but not Chippendale. So at the finish line, or at the reunion lot, I got both Fat Cat and Monterey Jack. Big moment. Got them both. That should be double points. But we had a lot of good characters out on this course too. Like I always love whenever we see Agent P, Perry the Platypus out. But great character allotment
And
here.
Rescue Rangers was stuck in my head for the remainder of the day.
Better than DuckTales, probably.
2023 marathon was when they had DuckTales, and that song, I think, for the rest of 2023 was stuck in my head. Like random singing.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Every time I'm like, I go when you're going into Hollywood Studios during the marathon, like right before that last bridge, like where you're going into Hollywood Studios, I just think of DuckTales, woohoo, because I remember by that point having heard it for how many hours that like they were very sad woohoos by that point. And I
Painful
think
woohoo's.
about it to the point where I'm like, yeah, I was like, woo. And I'm like, guys, we're almost back into a park, woohoo. It was very funny though. Anything else to report back about the 10K?
That was the day like all of my character meet and greet dreams came true. Because if you know me, you know how much I love Duffy the Bear.
Yes.
And every single race weekend I have ever been at, Duffy's like never out. Or the line is so long, I'm not willing to wait. But after I finished the 10K, the line for Duffy was so short in the reunion lot. And I finally got to meet Duffy, and I about cried. because that's been like my number one goal for years, was just to meet Duffy the bear. And I finally got to do it.
Love that. Oh, I love Duffy. That's so funny that like sometimes he's had such long lines, because I think there have been a couple princesses where he was there like every single race, because I think there's been once or twice where I got him every single race of the weekend. I was like, new fit with Duffy, new fit with Duffy, new fit with Duffy. But always the first time you see him, it's like, oh my God, it's so long. And then by the second, but I love him. He's so cute. So what did the rest of your day look like?
We had the Run Fit Fab pop-up,
We did.
which was fun.
Yes, it was at the Swan Reserve, not the Swan this time. Despite what I had put in. Oops. But we got there on time eventually. No, we were plenty on time. But it was great. I really liked it. I didn't mind the room from last year, because the one plus it had was there was so much more space to actually do the workout. But I was like sweating
Me too.
doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and I kind of knew what to expect from last year. The brunch after was so good.
Oh my gosh, those were some really good Mickey waffles. And then it was nice because Zippity Tees had some apparel, even more magic, sparkle, athletics.
Yes, it was I am now the proud owner of a new pink fanny pack
Yes.
from Even More Magic that I definitely needed, but it was running mini, so like, what was I gonna do?
And it's my fault.
Yeah.
We were in the room, vibing, dancing, having a good time, and I said, Natalie, you want to go out there and like shop?
That was my hardest no. Hardest no.
I don't
I
think I've
wanted it so bad.
texted going like, get me, get me, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it so fast.
Yes.
It was pink.
Duh. That's gonna be so cute for Princess. And also, like, I'm gonna use it, so yes, I was behaving, and I'm like, if I don't go out shopping, like, and it doesn't exist, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll look. Whoops. But Zip I was awesome, because like a lot of the patches, they were like getting them on. I don't want to say pressing them on, but they were applying them to, like, if you bought like a hat or whatever there, which I thought was genius, because like it's been my biggest hesitation is like, I'm not going to iron it on. Like, I might, but it's going to take me a long time to do it. So they were doing it there for you, which I thought was super smart. But it was such a good vibe, like, going into the weekend. We had a lot of really good girls that we were chatting with. Loved like the dance party. Loved like the view from on top of the Swan Reserve. That was beautiful. And it was great. And it was just a special time. It's like kind of hard to like imagine like not doing the pop-up now during marathon weekend, because I feel like it's a good like reset too, right? Because it's your halfway point of Dopey. So you've done 2 days, and kind of like, I don't know, it was just a good like way to like kind of just check in with other people and see like how their dopies were doing, or if they were doing goofy, and like how like they were excited to get started, or it was good. I really, really, really enjoyed it.
And I enjoy it too, because the weekends are always so busy. So the friends that we saw at the pop-up, I'm like, that's probably the only time that I saw some of them, just because everyone's schedule is so like hectic all weekend.
Yeah, that's like, it's so funny because like I feel like marathon weekend's like a big family reunion, I feel like there's a lot of people who like, come in for like come in, they do Dopey year after year, like whatever. But I feel like it's sometimes so hard to actually see people. So like, it's like good to have like that little check in with like, if you're not part of a group, it's just, and it just gets hectic, right? Like everybody has their race to run. And like, as the weekend progresses, like I get a little squirrelier personally. That's just how it goes. Not this time around. I was a little bit better this time, but in terms of like being squirrely about marathon weekend, but it's kind of it's a good way to just check in and like see your people, which is amazing. And I don't know, I'm so happy for Kristen and Devin and like all the success that they've had hosting those. And I know it's super nerve wracking for them to get it all set up, but it always ends up so great. After the pop-up, I know I went to the boardwalk. I kind of vibed there for a little bit, and then I went into Hollywood Studios. I think I saw the Muppet Christmas Carol display in the one-man stream area. I took some medal photos, and then I left. That's like the life of a pass holder. It's just like I go in, I do like 2 things that I really want to do, and then I leave. Because the witching hour always comes quicker than you want it to for marathon weekend. But what did the rest of your days look like on Friday?
Friday, I went to Animal Kingdom with my husband. We usually try to do like a lunch date during marathon weekend where it's just him and I because of just this straight up hecticness and there's so many people involved. We really don't get much like time to do things together. So we did Epcot, or excuse me, we did Animal Kingdom. We went to Yak and Yeti. Again, 10 out of 10. First time actually eating in the restaurant. We usually grab like appetizers, but that was really good. And then I met up with everybody else at Magic Kingdom for Tony's dinner. So some walking, but not too much.
So tell me about this call that you made to me from Tony's dinner.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so you were essentially the last one to find out that MB was running the marathon. And I kind of figured I outed it when I marked sold on the Goofy shirt because I'm like, someone's gonna see it and someone's gonna be like, why is she asking for another Goofy shirt when she already has her own?
Oh, don't worry. I was suspicious. I was like, I wonder who it's for. I was like, because I don't know why she would only want the Goofy shirt better. So I was like, wonder if it's for someone else.
Guilty.
And I was like, if it's anybody, it's got to be MB. I was locked in. So when they call me, they FaceTime me, and MB holds up her marathon bib. I go, I knew it. I knew it. I was suspicious, and I knew it. And like, yes, Natalie, there are people who exist outside our realm of like the 10 of us, but I knew it.
That was also part of my Animal Kingdom trip was to obtain the shirt. I felt like I was doing like a one-off drug deal, hoping nobody else was around to see me do it.
Wait, that's how you got the shirt? That's hilarious. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I marked sold. I chatted with the girl. She's like, hey, I'm also going to be at Animal Kingdom. Met her in front of the tree, did the handoff, and went about my day.
That is so good. That's so funny. I did not know that piece of the lore. That is hilarious.
See, I found out MV was doing it because I went back to the expo for my aunt to pick up her half bib. And I'm just like all excited, jumping up and down as I was that whole weekend. And then she just like shows me the marathon bib and I went and like my short circuited a little bit. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. And then I like start down it.
If I have the time, I'm going to find the piece of audio when she goes, I'm never doing this again. I'm going to say, well, I don't believe you. From her New York episode. I'm going to just drop it in here if I have the time. Maybe a blooper, just for fun. Well, I don't believe you when you say that. Because I think I had even caught the fact that you guys had taken, I saw it in PhotoPass, like, and she had a 26.2 shirt on. I'm like, well, she's done a marathon. She just did 2 marathons in a year. Like, that makes some sense. But I love it. I love a little, like, soft launch like that.
I will never be able to do that because I'm always like, all right, I'm ready for Dopey next year. Sign me up.
Can confidently say, and this audio can be held against me at a later date, I am not doing Dopey next year.
I second that.
It's not happening.
We will commit we will commit to Goofy in 27.
I can do Goofy 27. I am not doing Dopey in 27.
But the problem is 28's an anniversary year, so I'm all in, like diving headfirst off a building. Let's go.
Talk to me about that at a later date, because right now I firmly said I'm never doing Dopey again. So
Yeah, that I don't believe.
Yeah, me either.
That I do. Yeah. It's about as relatable as like Jess saying this was her last one. No.
We can laugh about that now. Maybe after the anniversary year. Probably not, though.
Yeah, no, probably not though.
Mm-mm.
Because that's the thing is that 28, it's not only Dopey and like marathon weekend anniversary, but it's also Chicago will be that fall.
Don't tell me that.
Mm-hmm. That'll be the 50th for Chicago.
don't do Chicago in 28.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably going to be a big year for the lotto. But as far as I am concerned, the emails to American Cancer Society are going to start nice and early of like, hey, when do you guys open up your bibs? When do you guys open up your bibs? Because that I will. I do want to make sure I do the 50th for Chicago. But yeah, it's the same year as Dopey is, as Dopey's 15th and Marathon Weekend's 35th. Just for your future planning purposes. But we're not talking about marathon yet. We're going to talk about halves, unless there's anything else to cover from Friday. All right, let's roll on into the half marathon. I will say, I think the weather was worse this day than Sunday. At the same time of the day, of the morning. So like when you're talking like after 10:30, like, but like I mean like 8:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. I feel like it felt worse on Saturday than it did on Sunday.
I don't remember.
I would say the opposite, honestly.
I'm so used to it that everyone like that I was running with was dripping in sweat. Kat and I were like, oh, patting our heads like we're not really sweating because we're just accustomed to it. So really, either day for me kind of felt the same.
Interesting.
I felt like I was dying because I'm not used to heat anymore.
Now, if you saw my hands on Sunday, they would strongly disagree with you.
So costume wise this day, I was Wanda Maximoff, and I basically had an open back situation going on my shirt. And so I learned on Saturday, or sorry, I learned on 10K day, I wore a base layer of a long sleeve underneath because I wanted to, because I did do a naughty and I had never run in this crowned top before. And it was fine. But I wanted to learn. I was like, if I'm going to make the mistake of wearing it too many layers, I want to do it on 10K day, not the half day. Learned like not even a mile into the 10K. I'm like, this was a mistake, but also it kind of ate. So it was okay. But so I basically had like an open back because I wore the Scarlet Witch like crowned top. So the tan I have going on back there, something, because I didn't wear my vest for the half, and I don't tend to wear it for that. But holy crap. I had this cute idea that I was going to run with my hair down. Because, you know, with like Wanda's like signature look, like she's got like her curly hair going. No. Not even, I don't think I was even like in my corral before I decided that was a hard no. No, 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 and no. No, actually, no. So I made sure that I did have a big scrunchie because I did take it down when I was running through Magic Kingdom. And I could not get that back up fast enough. I cannot emphasize enough how quickly my hair went into its ponytail as soon as I exited Tomorrowland. But the half marathon, you squeeze a little bit going up toward the highway, the first like mile and a half, which I thought it used to be only about a mile of squeezy, but it's a little bit more than that. But then you get your elbow room, which is nice. I do feel like it was a little. I do think they've made improvements in the lighting on that path going up near Polynesian and Grand Floridian. It still could be better, but it wasn't as bad as the half last year where I was like, holy crap, I'm going to die on one of these potholes. I also did have a pacer. I did join into a pace group because they're really, I wouldn't say there's not no choice to join in a pace group, but they're kind of like I was like, okay, whatever. I can hang with them. But it was great. The pacers that I was running with for about like a mile and a half, 2 miles were pretty good about like warning you how they're like, the ground is uneven, like make sure that you're going, you're watching your steps, make sure single file, don't block people off, blah, 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 blah. They also, my favorite thing they said was, if you cut off an AWD, I'm going to give them my stick to hit you with. Which I think you would deserve that if you cut off an athlete with disability. So you would deserve that. I would expect to get whacked with a stick. And that, cause then they would run past and they were like, let me know if any of them cut you off, you get my stick to hit them with. Nobody did. But, I love when they have the electrical water pageant out too, heading up to, yes, it gets squeezy there, but it's fantastic when they have that out, and it really, I feel like, sets the tone heading into Magic Kingdom. And then the run down Main Street, I mean, it never gets old. Even doing it literally 2 days in a row, it never gets old, as you do with Dopey. It was amazing. And, went to the tangled bathrooms, and as one does, which is always kind of awkward when they have Rapunzel and Flynn like outside of them, where I'm just kind of like, oh, excuse me, I'm just gonna go potty back there, just right there, if you don't mind. But it's kind of nice because sometimes I feel like people forget those bathrooms are even open because Rapunzel and Flynn are there. So it's kind of, I feel like people are learning it now, but like they're kind of emptier than normal, but it's also a big bathroom. But today was also a challenge character day. At long last, for the first time since I started working at my job, that I have been at a race where Carl from Up has been there. He was there for springtime in 24, but I was not there. So that doesn't count. So it was a big moment for me that I got my big lore character. Also, with the fact that this was a love-themed race, a little messed up that you put Carl out there, let me just say. They have all these couples. They have Jack and Sally. They have like Tiana and Prince Naveen. They have Rapunzel and Flynn. And it's kind of messed up that they put Carl out there. Like, yes, it's a great love story, but like that's kind of messed up if you think about it. I don't know. I got nothing. Except that I was very, 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 very excited to go find Carl. I sent it to my boss, like when I was in line. I'm like, it's a big lore moment here. I got a really good castle photo, and I've got a really good Epcot photo too. I was absolutely like, because I was so sweaty and like I felt like I was dying, like going into mile 12, I was like absolutely just a menace. Like there was a line of people who were there who had already finished or were cheering, and I literally like went down with my hand and high-fived every single one of them. Like basically like just stuck my hand out and just went wee all the way down the line because I was hot, sweaty, and not over it, but like I don't know. There was just nothing else. I don't know. I think I was re-energized by the old man from Up. He got me. And I felt, I don't know, he just re-energized me. The kid wasn't with him. Russell wasn't with him. Doug wasn't with him. It was literally just Carl. So going into that last mile of that race, I was just absolutely living. How did your races go?
I absolutely loved it. The course is very narrow though. And when we were getting, the electrical water parade, how there was no music for it.
Really?
Yeah. It was very quiet. But then like on the other side though, I feel like going down by the Contemporary, I feel like they were playing the music.
Yeah.
For the water parade when it wasn't even close. But I found it funny when like whenever you were getting off the walkway to go like into Magic Kingdom, the one cast member was like, caution, like the course is narrow. And I said the course has been narrow the entire time. It was very narrow. I had one goal. Well, I wanted a character photo, dark castle photo. That was my goal, and I accomplished it. That was my only goal. I said I need to make it up Main Street when it was dark. and I got it. Megan and I ran together the entire race. And then I was like, we're going to vibe the entire time. And when we were running by, not, what are they called? John Pelkey's wife. Not the hitchhikers, but like the campers.
Yeah, on mile 10 where I like to wipe out and fall.
Yeah. I was like, let's go and play cornhole. Because I'm like, we're just vibing and having fun. So I went over and we tossed the bags and I made both of them in. So that was fun. That gave me some energy. And then stopped for a ball photo as well. And I felt great after the half.
I think me and Meg had leapfrogged each other a little bit because I think you guys passed me when I got to Carl. I don't know at what point you guys or I passed you again, but
We stopped for Toy Story, who was out, Woody and Bo Peep. We stopped
okay,
there for a photo.
gotcha. Because I knew I was in the Carl line for forever, but there was no way I was not getting my grumpy old man. Big moment for me. So there was like one point where I was like expecting to kind of see you around based on where I like knew you guys were, and then I was like, how did that happen? Maybe I did like Kermit run away from you. I don't know. No, that's like might be reserved for Bob from Rise and Run, where I did Kermit run away from him during Wine and Dine. He let me go ahead of him, and I literally went full Kermit. Like, I don't know, man. Lindsay, how did your race go?
It was good. I ran with MB, Kat, and Jamie, and we did Star Wars. So I was Yoda, and MB's husband was so kind enough to make us little mini lightsabers. So if you saw us, we were flinging them around on the course and for pictures. So it was super fun. It really was just vibing, enjoying it. It was Jamie's second half, so it was actually really fun to get to experience that with her. I wasn't able to during Wine and Dine, so we just had a lot of fun, and it was good just to run it out, loosen the legs up, and just get to see her go down Main Street for her first time. So it was really fun.
Oh, I was gonna ask because I feel like I actually haven't touched base with her since then. That's so corporate, but I feel like I haven't really even chatted with how it went. Sarah, how did your half go?
I actually kind of enjoyed this half because my mom started before I did. So I spent the first like 2 to 3 miles trying to catch up to her.
Pop off, Sonia.
um, but when I caught up to her, I was really, really excited because I somehow managed to talk her into doing a half marathon. And she actually enjoyed it. She's actually wanting to do another one. So I may have created a monster.
Good.
So I spent a lot of time with my mom and my aunt on this half. So this half will honestly mean more to me than any other half marathon I will ever do in my entire life because I did it with my mom. And I'm gonna cry because she is my best friend. No matter what in the entire world, she is my best friend. And so to do that with her was a lot. And I'm gonna stop talking now or else I'm just gonna cry.
Oh, that's so special. Yeah, it's been great to have my mom here even for race weekends.
I will say while Sarah is crying, I did get to see Sonia after she was done. We got to see her before crossing the bridge over in Epcot. And I got to see her once she was done finishing. So proud of her. She did amazing. And I'm so happy she wants to do another one.
Same.
And stop crying.
I was standing there watching the finishers. I watched Lindsay, MB, and Jamie, and then I was standing there waiting for Sarah and CJ and Sonia and her aunt Kim. And Sarah went and finished, and then CJ was with her mom and aunt, and I recorded them crossing the finish line, and I was cheering and I was crying. I was like, "You did it! You did your first half marathon!" So I'm glad I was able to stay and like capture it.
And what a special place to do it, right? And especially like what it means to the weekend, especially this being like your redemption in person dopey and like your mom also like going, oh no, now Sarah's crying harder. Uh oh no. that step also of like, her like creating, like doing something that she went the distance so that she had never been able to, or never done before. And I'm gonna like toss my tissues at Sarah that I have in my pocket. But that's so special. It's so special. And I feel like, especially like, I'm so happy that it felt that special too, because I feel like sometimes the half during marathon weekend can kind of feel like overshadowed by Dopey. So I'm so glad that it was able to like stand in its own moment of being like, hell yeah, this is a half. Any other weekend, this is the culminating, this is the cream of the crop event. So I'm so glad that it was able to go, and I'm so glad that that was able to shine as a special moment.
God damn it, making me cry.
All right, add the Donald Duck sound.
Literally though. But that's so special, and what a magical, especially like there is nothing quite like going down Main Street. There's just nothing like it.
Especially with what it means to me and my mom.
Exactly. You knew I was going with that, with what it means to your family. Did you guys go down Main Street together?
No, I ended up being like a half to quarter mile ahead of her for that.
Gotcha.
Wanted to experience that like herself and just like with her sister, and so.
Oh, wait, stop. I'm gonna cry.
Is she doing princess?
She will be a princess, but she's not doing the half.
Because yeah, that was the 10 for. I'm like still remembering the registration madness of last year. But that's so awesome. That's so special.
I'm so excited for them. It was such an awesome experience.
Creating a monster in the best way.
When y'all passed us on the bridge, that actually like made her day. Like all of you being so excited and smiling, because after that point, like she didn't stop smiling.
Oh,
I apologize for the disgusting hug that I ran up and gave her because that was probably foul.
weren't we all that day?
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's so special. How did you guys feel going into the half? Because I feel like the half is like the overthink race for during Dopey. I felt like I had to pee real bad. Once I peed, I was like better. But like this time, again, like I again, this wasn't my A race, which is absolutely crazy to say about Dopey, but I was just kind of vibing. I was like, it is what it is in terms of how we feel. But I feel like every little twinge, like not good thing that you feel during the half is like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, because of Dopey. So how did you guys feel like either during the half or after the half, knowing you had the marathon on Sunday?
Rager part felt so good. Not a single joint hurt, which for me is impressive. Like nothing hurt. I was vibes. I was good.
Love that.
I felt great. During the race, I took a photo. Some guy was holding a sign that says "Dopey runners, you're not even halfway," and it was like mile like 8 of the half.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That was
And
funny.
then another sign was like "Run if you're in a cult."
That one was my favorite sign I saw. Actually, second favorite. There was one during the marathon that obviously close to my heart. But yeah, run if you're in a cult, literally, as we all meet at 3 a.m. in a parking lot in the dark for vacation.
For vacation. I'm like, this actually is not a vacation.
It's a
The
business
furthest
trip.
thing from. I'm so glad you called them that because that's what I call any race that is like Run Disney or like not at my house is a business trip.
Literally, though, it is a business trip. And this comes from years of being a traveling consultant where like. And that's where we're going to close our storybook for this week. Come back next week to hear about the rest of our Dopey challenges. If you enjoyed listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud. You might even be featured on a future podcast episode. We have a community spotlight on our Instagram at Stride Sisters Podcast. If you want to be featured for a Medal Monday, Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment you want to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or our email. And to continue the fun, join us on our Facebook page. All the ways to connect with us can be found in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time.